What's up, my precious little pack, and welcome back to VEGA Conflict. Before I get started with the actual thoughts for this with what's going on in game, stuff like that, and this will be my thoughts of what is going on in game, what I think of everything and stuff like that. I'm going to talk about the game in general and stuff like that. But before I do, I'd like to do the prize list for the Plant Strike for the low level players. So for all of you guys who want to stick around now for the prize list, here it is. Before you get anything, and I do mean anything, ensure you pick up the Impulse Beam 1, then 2, then 3, in that order. Now, I love the Thermal Beam, and the Impulse Beam is literally a vertical step right up. Now, how is that? First off, it has better range and better damage. The damage is minuscule in comparison to the range, but it is still there. Next up, if you have any carrier that is not the Midgard is the base that just about everyone gets. You're going to want Bomber Squadron level 1, 2, and 3. And if you have the Ragnarok, you're going to be equipping level 3 until you can get Interceptors, or you're going to be sticking with Bomber Squadron level 3 for the damage. And this is how you're going to farm, more or less. You're going to take 10 days to build a single carrier, and you're more or less going to use it to farm everything. You're still going to need a fleet to go with it, but I'll explain its build in a separate video. I actually think I have a single blank hole of one that I need to refetch and finish what I'm doing. Okay, next up, the recommended ships. The Lance Destroyer, right off the bat, due to its weapon setup and everything like that. First off, Mark Upgrade gets 4 weapons. Its fairly low repair time means when you strap a shield on, it's still going to be fairly low. This gets to the next point of the video, which I'll talk about later. And if you go with the Scythe Destroyer, well, you're cutting your nose off to spite your face because you're losing out on weaponry. And something else the Lance has, it has the additional weaponry. And it's only a tier 4. I never actually built nor used them, but it would be interesting, and I'd have to build them out. But a current fleet fitting that I have uses destroyers, and it may be interesting for some of you to play test it and use it, because I don't have the time as it stands right now to produce it. I have 2 runs of the ship. One is missing a single weapon, but it's a low level tech. Well, low level tech for what I have. It's higher level tech for low levels. Next up, Komodo Cutter. If you use cutters, pick it up. I actually do have a few ships fitted, and the fitting I gave them is light shielding, light armor, as much forward speed as they can get, and shotguns. The energy shotguns, specifically. The burst ray, or whatever it's called. I'll have to bring it up in a separate fitting video, so I actually have the name of it. But the prize is in order. Again, Lance Destroyer, Scythe Destroyer. If you want it, I wouldn't recommend it. I'd recommend the Lance and the Komodo. As for the free ship holes, that's debatable. And I see no advantage of the Scythe over the Trident other than weight. But I mean, my Tridents are fully fitted. As for reusable items, for anyone who wants to buy them, first I'd recommend the Boosted Gladius Driver 3 for the shield bypass. For certain destroyer fittings for low levels that are seeking out the ability to chain destroy multiple targets, the Repeating Polaron Ray is what I'd recommend for you. And note, it does less module damage, so it'll do less in bases, so it's perfectly fit as it is for low-level PvP or escort fleets. And I do have a few fittings for Polaron Rays as well. I'm going to start doing lower-level fittings more frequently. As for the ship build tokens, whichever ones you get correspond with the ships you get. If you buy the VSEC, this, make sure you pick up a few of the 1-hour tokens if you can. I know these are expensive, and that's 2 hits against a 45 to get the points necessary to buy just a single level 1 token for 1 hour. Yes, I classify them by level. Level 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 being the most expensive, but all of them in turn being useful in some way. So depending on what you get will more or less divide and decide what you do. Brutal Hydra Missile 3. Now I could say to pick it up, but its range debuff compared to the actual standard Hydra Missile of over 4,000 meters even, over 3,000 it's more beneficial. I don't see any point in getting the Brutal Hydra Missile, so the ones I'd recommend is picking up the Boosted Gladius Drivers, level 1 or 3, your choice, just depends on how many points you can get. And then the Repeating Polaron Ray, level 1 or level 3, again, depends on how many points you get. Okay, on to the next part of this video. The destroyers I was talking about. These are Mark IV, so they have 3 weapon slots available to them. They're researchable to everyone. The weaponry I'm using on them is not. As you can see, they're not using the second special slot. Most of the weight is used up, but the secondary fitting they'll have for them will actually be a single coin repair. They will be 9-minute 20-second repair, and that's as close as you can get to the 9-minute 30-second for a single coin repair. They have Metaphase 1, and these are all low repair time ships, and they're using Wave Driver 3, so they have shield bypass, very high shield bypass, well almost 50%, they're 45% due to the weapon then themselves. Oh wait, that's not how you calculate that, yeah. But the fitting for them is simple. Long range, high damage, so that they can do everything, and since they're Mark upgraded, they're going to be doing much more damage against cruisers. So for low levels, you can use them for escort fleets, and this ship alone isn't done fitting. Let's just put it down here so you can check the level out alone. It's only going to be around level 25 compared to, let's say, my broadswords. Each of them has around 44 damage, except for each of them is fairly low fitting. And each of them is free repair time. Now, compared to the Trident, which has a 1 coin repair, I could see myself using at least 2 or 3 of my free coins I get per day from the Commerce module to fix them. For those of you who do not have the Commerce module and have to get the $10 just to earn it, for low-level fleets and free repair fleets like this, I could see using the coins, and now each ship will be cheap to repair. The primary objective of this fleet is low-level farming. Now, the fleet can consist of multiple things. 1, the fleet can have any number of fittings. You could have it with 3 destroyers, 2 battleships, and a carrier, and the carrier is recommended. I would recommend one with an agility support field to improve upon the movement capabilities of the destroyers. And the destroyers you can fit in one of 2 ways. 1, you can leave them as their base movement type, which I have done, and go for additional shield bypass by using not the iridium rays, but the phased munitions. Or you can go for strafe thrusters to help them move out of the way of danger from projectile/explosive weapons just a little bit faster. Now, the escort fleet for them depends. Are you going to be using this type of fleet in PvP or PvE? Or are you going to be using both? Because that will dictate what you want as the escort fleet due to the aggro of certain fleets. Specifically during decimation of high-level fleets attacking low-level fleets. Depending on your escort fleet, which will be the first to be hit, again, you may want lower repair times. You may actually have 2 of the exact same fleet floating over each other more or less. Or, depending on your level of farming, if you're not farming enemy fleets with carriers, then I could recommend 6 Trident destroyers all alone with that thing. You'd have to make sure they're all Mark upgrades, so it's going to take you some time. Then you have to do 1 refitting at Mark IV to give them the 3rd weapon. But at that point, they're effectively done. And more or less, the armor that you see here, just drop it down 1 level, and that'll give you the free repair and, well, not free repair, but the 1 coin repair fleet. And the objective of this is a 6 coin repair fleet. Each ship costs 1 coin in repair, and they'll each be under 10 minutes, so in turn you have under an hour of repair time. So even if you don't coin, this is going to be a fleet that you can use fairly often to farm. And I wouldn't recommend letting the AI do everything. I would recommend playing with them and taking at least control of 1 ship, and working around improving on your skills, finding out what's good to strafe, what's not good, and stuff like that. After I actually fully build this fleet, and each ship takes under 4 days to build, so you're going to be able to build almost 8 of them a month. Because remember, a little bit under 4 days per piece of the ship, it ain't going to be too bad, and in the same time you can be producing, gathering, Trident Destroyer upgrades. Now, the Wave Driver, how you get that is you actually have to farm VSEC. Let me see if they're active right now. No, they're not. Now, I don't remember which level it was. Let's check Tier 2. Right here, you're going to have to farm level 37 to 45 VEGA, the VSEC Overwatch fleets. And you're going to want to try and get the Wave Driver 3. As you can see, it is overall a decent weapon, but it can be greatly improved. But for low levels, this is something that can't be ignored. Now, the same can be said about the Vector Torpedo. Long range, just like the Wave Driver, it's only a little bit shorter range, but its missiles track the target until impact. It has a little bit more damage, but it also has a little bit more weight, a little bit less range. So depending on the fitting you want, the fitting I'm going for this fleet is going to be Wave Drivers only, and it'll be 6 destroyers. No battleships or anything like that, because they're not going to be made for fighting carrier fleets. They're going to be built for fighting the others. Now, for your carrier, you're going to want to farm level 30 to 35 VSEC, and you're going to want to go after the Midgard. Hey, speak of what I was talking about, it is the Burst Ray for the shotgun. Here it is. So you're going to have to farm the same one for level 1 and level 2 of the Burst Ray. And I wouldn't recommend boosting its range because it has long range spreads. You're going to want to be up in your enemy's face anyways, so boosting the range isn't going to do anything for you. And you're going to be able to get level 2 Wave Drivers from this fleet, so even farming these ones, as you slowly progress and gather everything, you're going to improve overall anyways. Oh yeah, I forgot about the Echo Ray. I'll have to talk about that separately. But the Midgard is the first carrier you're ever going to get if you don't get one through a strike. And I actually have no problems with it. Even though it has its debuffed range, it only gets 80% range compared to the standard range of carriers. It is overall, it's not garbage, but it's especially not good. But it is going to be your first carrier with the agility support field, which is the movement speed buff field. Now, with all of that said, on to the next point of the video.
We're ready.
Which wasn't these. When you're desperate for money, apparently you're willing to do anything, including this. The bonus coin spend and get is live. Now, effectively, this event works like this. You spend money, and you get a little bit back. So everything you buy in-game, up to a $200 point, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, $200 at best. And you get back $80. I can see so many bugs with this coming up, and I wouldn't recommend anyone to spend money in-game during this time, because here's what I think is going to happen. Kickside is going to have you all try and spend money in-game, and for all of you coiners that do spend money and you spend 200, I doubt you're going to get 80 back. They're going to say there's been a bug or something with the event and you can't get your kickback prize. They're sorry for the inconvenience and blah blah blah, you know, the typical response. So I wouldn't recommend you guys spend your money just for that, and I'm positive you already know. So no more need to say anything on that. Next up, I need to talk about, actually I need to open this back up. I need to talk about the Planet Strike points payout. Again, first off, they decreased, as we all know, and have known since the strikes began, they decreased the points payout for each of the fleets. They, however, did not decrease the intel requirements for the prizes to be effectively on the same level that they dropped the points payout. You, as I calculated out before, you have to work twice as hard as before in a strike in a 24-hour period to to be able to earn the same prizes you would have if you want to clear the store out as before. Because they reduced the cost of most of the reward ships, well, the Intel bought ships in the strike, the Planet Strike, by an average of 50%. But when they cut the points payout by over 75%, everyone has to farm more in a shorter time frame to be able to get what they need. Most people won't be able to do that unless they have fleets to start with. So now to do the secondary fitting for the destroyer. And this will be using only researchable tech. So let's go ahead and let's jump over to the arms lab. It's going to be one of the last energy weapons you research. It's going to be the Polaron Ray naturally. Because it's never going to miss. Because it more or less tracks the target and it hits them. It has very low weight, long enough range to be acceptable on a destroyer. And in most cases, when combined with different weapons and stuff like that, let's jump over to the tech lab and show the research. Go to ship specials. Naturally, you're going to want to get focused optics 5 for it. Ion modulator is up to you. It will reduce your damage against the actual hulls of the ships, but you'll be able to strip the shielding of them off extremely quickly. Focused optics is the primary thing for the fitting, though. You're going to want focused optics, the Polaron Ray, the Tridents. You can also use this fitting for those of you who have the broadswords. You can also use it on the broadsword Mark III, and the broadsword also at Mark III gains access to a shield. However, it's 1,800 in total weight or something like that, or is it 1,200? Actually, I think it's fairly lightweight to begin with. But the point is, you're going to strap it up, and right now, if you were to put that on this fleet, their weight would drop drastically, well, in most regards, but so would their damage, just because right now they're fitted with high damage energy weapons. They're fitted with thermal beams, 2 of them. They do not have the range boost, however, and each of them only has fusion thruster 1, which could be removed and replaced with either rotation thruster to improve their ability to stay on target, or strafe thrusters to avoid projectile-based weapons, explosives, things such as that. Now, let's hop back to in here. The next strike we have actually coming up is the sector strike. And everything they're doing is... Alright, time for the actual main part of this video. I'm going to skip what I was actually going to say just then. Time to do my thoughts on the state of the game as it is right now through my eyes. This is my opinion of the game. First off, could I recommend the game to anyone else? As a game where you'd sit around and talk, yes, but in terms of quality of content, content release, and quality of overall programming and game bugs, no. No, I couldn't. I'd recommend any standard game that you'd actually have to pay and buy over this free-to-play game. I would recommend picking up Total Annihilation, StarCraft, Command & Conquer, Star Wars games, anything. Well, actually, Star Wars Galactic Battlegrounds right off the top of my head. Pick it up on Steam. Total Annihilation, pick it up on Steam. I'd recommend any of those games over this. And this is free to play. Well, it's free to play, but it does hurt to play. What I mean by that is, as everyone quickly learned, you could take apart an entire Axis fleet and you could strip some weapons and all shielding and armor off of a ship, and you can get it to go well below the gate where the stuff you're going to be fighting with that single armed ship won't be able to fight back. Or won't be able to fight back as effectively. That is a disgusting move and improperly balanced. And that's one of the reasons I can't recommend the game. Now on to a partially positive point. I can't exactly say that it's fully positive because, well, everything in game does look good. Quality of the view and everything does look well modeled. So I can't complain about that. But I can complain about reused ship classes, and this is something I've said before. We do get specialist ships which are supposed to break these standard classes, but with the latest being the Pegasus and more or less being a frigate with destroyer ranges only due to a special, it does fall in the classification of frigate due to the movement speed, but destroyer due to the range. So that's what it is in my eyes. And there isn't enough variation in the current list of ships. It goes cruiser, carrier, specialist, flagship, frigate, destroyer, and cutter. Now, cutters are suicide ships. They get up close and personal, and they fight it at more or less face range. But they don't have the shielding to sustain themselves. They're not a ship class I can recommend unless you're just looking to build a low-level, low repair time ship. But there's nothing low repair time about cutters, so that's why I went with destroyers. In this fitting video, I do have cutters readily available, and I also have a few fitted, but I'm going to recommend the ship class so you can keep repair time down, but also have extremely long ranges to be able to get that first hit in. And the fleet fitting is, as I said before, not for against carriers because they will always be outranged. But with that said, back to the main point that I just got off again. My general thoughts in game are random and sporadic because most of the time we don't know what's going to happen next in game. Lack of communication between Kickside and the player base is steadily increasing while overall content quality is decreasing. The newer content does look good, but it's overpowered, improperly balanced, and in most cases unacceptable because people can use it in the lower tier which never stood a chance against it in the first place. The overall balance of the game is it steadily increased, and with the introduction of infernal weapons it took a giant leap up. But then when they introduced Tier 6, the Xeno Division, the damage they put out with their alien class weapons compared to the prior Demon Cores with their Infernals was just absurd. And it's getting worse, and I expect Tier 7 to be the worst of it, and most likely the final nail in the coffin to say the least. I expect Tier 7 to either make or break the game completely. Either they're going to be balanced so that Axis fleets and Xeno fleets can fight and brawl with them, or they're going to do to the Xeno and Axis fleets what the Xeno and Axis fleets did to the Iron Star Company and Demon Core fleets. They're going to more or less just one-shot them. What type of weaponry they'll have, I have no idea. Who will be leading them, I have no idea. Again, Tier 7's a mystery. And as I said, with not knowing what's coming, I can't recommend the game because as I've progressed, I've seen my build times go up, but I've also kept the build times down. I declare my acceptable build time for high-level ships at under 8 days per ship. So I can at least get around 4 ships per month with build tokens assisting along the way. So I can get a little bit over half a fleet a month. I have no idea what the plan for Tier 7 is. What type of weaponry they'll have, what type of armor, what type of shielding, what type of everything. Will they be resistant to plasma? Will they be resistant to a new type of damage? Will they do a new type of damage? Will it be rewashed content all over again just with a new skin and be more powerful but fire weaponry similar to what the priors had? These questions I have no answers to. I wish I did, because it would make it a lot more easy to do this and say this. But as it stands right now, Tier 7, I don't even know the first ship class that's going to be coming out. I don't know when it's going to be coming. I don't know what weapons are going to be. I don't know what any of it's going to be. It's, in general, a mystery. But that's where the fun part begins, because In VEGA, we more or less don't know what's going on because Kixeye just doesn't tell us. But that doesn't mean we can't guess, estimate, or make assumptions. I expect whatever's coming to be even more broken and overpowered than the Xeno and Axis fleets combined. I expect it to have the best armor, have a better repair ratio than either the Xeno and the Axis put together. I expect them to break their own rule because the Axis fleets were supposed to have harmonic benefits only and only supposed to be for them. I have a feeling that the next tier is going to have something better than harmonic benefits, and it's just going to be even more of a larger gap in technology stepping up. What they'll have is up to Kixeye. What we will receive is most likely a headache. Yes, you heard me right, a headache. But other than that, I don't think that there's much more to say. The game, as it stands right now, build times can be dealt with. Repair times are... We do get repair tokens every few days when we log in. They're only 1 hour repair tokens, and we only get, I think, 1 a week from what I've gotten so far. But they're repair tokens nonetheless. Don't take anything for granted at this point. But also don't stop pushing to have repair times reduced, because granted, their repair time is acceptable because of how powerful they are, except for most of the time they're too powerful and you're never going to be able to give them repair time. So that repair token is going to be necessary. And something I'm just going to step off to the side here real quick. I would recommend that during the time token days, Kixeye adds, and this should be pushed, the repair tokens to... Actually, they just added to the time token market, which is active right now. And it even says time tokens. It doesn't say build time tokens, it says time tokens. So they should add repair tokens to this list. We should see repair tokens in here among the ship stuff. So as it stands, we have module refit and upgrades. Ship refits and upgrades. And I really think that we should see repair tokens in here along with the rest, because that will help to negate some of the negatives of being in the Axis, Xeno, and high repair fleets. And the easy thing is, it's readily available to everyone. All you have to do is daily missions turn Blood Amber. This brings up another point. The importance of Blood Amber. The importance of logging in, getting your daily 10, plus doing your daily mission for 20. I still don't partake in PvP. I could, but I don't. And the importance of Blood Amber, you can get a maximum of 30 per day through doing a daily mission and logging in most cases. And you can either use it for PvP tech, which I'm saving up because I'm curious as to when the carrier and destroyers will be released, because I'm going to start blowing Blood Amber on them right away. I just need to pick up some Raven drones and stuff like that to fully fit the first carrier I get from theirs. But I can see it being useful in PvP during Alliance Wars, Civil Wars, and just in generally helping keep repair time down. As for the featured market, again, Blood Amber in here is a lot more... You have to be a maxed out base, more or less. You have to have a maxed out base to be able to buy one of these ships. I have 10% of the Blood Amber, except for I can't store the maximum amount at my current bridge level of 7. I need an 8, so you have to have a maxed out base to be able to buy ships from here. Again. And again. And something I just realized, you can't buy a carrier in here for Blood Amber, which is a disappointment. But everything else in here you can buy for Blood Amber. But the importance of Blood Amber cannot be overstated, but it cannot be understated. It has specific uses. Credit-wise, for low levels, when you buy one of these, you get multiple. And credits are instant equip items. It doesn't take time to equip them. They're also good for picking up blueprints that you do not have, Picking up credits you may need for any number of reasons. Blueprints again, as well as these, resistors. They're not the best, but they're not the worst price. They could be over 4 times what they are now, or they could be 1/3 of what they are. Resistors can be important, but they can also be useless at the same time. And since these are credits and not reusable items, they're all instant equip. But here's the thing with credits. If you remove a credit from a ship after you've already used it, it gets destroyed and you can't use it on another ship. But since it's an instant build item, picking up the right credits can be useful for low-level builds because you can skip, let's say 8 hours or so. Like right here, look at this. Ion modulator credit 3. Increased shield damage. That may be potential for certain battleship builds to strip shielding with energy or projectile, actually energy weapons, because it only affects energy, off of high health cruisers or something like that, so you can get right to the health. Net torpedoes, thermal beam 2s. I could recommend thermal beam 2s being picked up. Scatter missile 4 credits. Everyone should have the scatter missile array researched up to that point, so you shouldn't need it. And I recommend the Hex missile. But the importance, as I said at the beginning, was it can't be overstated, but it can't be understated. And I'm still waiting for Axis and Xeno crafting materials to become available in here as well. The point of that is because the boxes we buy always have what we need. They have everything we need to mark upgrade to a Mark V, and they cost everyone different material types, except for most of the time we can gather the materials from farming fleets. We may not get the patterns, but we can buy the patterns in here. And this is one of the things I tend to do, is I buy patterns from here. This is how I get my destroyers and stuff mark upgrade so quickly and easily. And the easiest way to know when anything is coming around, right in here. You can just scroll down through here and it'll tell you what supplies will be available when. Crafting event. What's up with the crafting event? We got cutters. Not interested. But you can see everything you need here, as well as elsewhere. But I'm going to stop this video here, everybody. Go ahead and share your thoughts down below on the current state of the game. Where do you think it's going? Downhill a lot faster than it could be going uphill. Do you think it's lost enough of its steam? No pun intended. Player base, as well as many other aspects of the game that could have improved but were not, and were left to more or less die off. My final thoughts will be to sum up everything. Planet Strike became a joke, and it became more difficult for players to advance. The Alien Strike it's actually suitable damage-wise for everybody from what I've seen. Sector Strike, I mean, you can go right from Tier 3 to Tier 6. You don't need to play any of the other strikes, you can just do them to collect everything. So you can be the collectionist player, such as me. But let me know what you all think of the state of the game. Just let me know what you think of the state of the game in your opinion. What could be better? What could be worse? Feel free to let me know below, everybody. That's going to be it for this video. If you liked the video, feel free to leave a like, comment, subscribe. It really helps. And as always, everybody, I'll see you later.